Hi, my name is Bjarne Berg, also known as Dr. Berg from Comerit, and today I'm going to show a little demo of some of the work we did while writing the SAP Press HANA book that came out about 9 days ago. So we want to show you how to basically extract data from non-SAP sources, integrate creating tables inside HANA, and also using data services to load those tables. And we'll show you step by step so you can use this yourself internally. So first thing we do, we're going to log on to the admin console, and when I log on to the admin console, I got to go and connect up a system. So first thing that happens when I get into the console is I'm going to add a new system, right click on it, and then put in all the connectivity, the host name, the instance, give in some sort of description, and pick a language. You will get the host names and the instance numbers from your basis admin. Since they asked me what I want to authenticate, so I type in my username and password, which I also got from my admin, and then I changed my password. So we always start up with the first time you'll always be asked to change password. You're also given an option here to change the master password, so you can recover it yourself without having to call anybody. And changing the master password consists basically of setting up a recovery. There's a couple of control questions like where were you born and what is the answer, what was your first car, and so forth. And then you don't have to call up basis when you need to reset passwords. So the first thing that happens now, the system is now connected to my HANA Studio, and I'm ready to go and peek around. I can go in and search on any table inside the system itself. Go and search for a table and open up the table and take a look at the internal structures. So here you have the column names, the data types, the field, and the type if it's primary keys as well. And I can see how the tables are put together. I can also go into the navigator, and in the navigator I can open up and see all my tables. And if I right click on a table here, I'm allowed to open up the content. So instead of looking at just structures, I can actually peek inside and see the actual data inside the system as well. And that's very useful. Then I can go into the administration. Again, I click on my system and right click and do administration. And that takes me into a splash screen here that gives me some overview. It tells me the memories that's already been used, the number of CPUs available, what my CPU utilization is, the disk volume, a lot of interesting stuff that tells me how the system is performing right now. And now we can go and take a peek at the perspective. So we'll look at a little bit of the attributes. So I'm going to open up a perspective, the other, and I'm going to go into the modeler. So Windows, Perspective, Modeler. And when I get into the modeler, I get a splash screen that allows me to build stuff like attributes view, analytical view, calculations views, privileges, a lot more things that are available to me from the admin standpoint. So first of all, I can go in and look now at the content. And in the content, you will see that I have 2 attributes view, 1 analytical view, and 1 calculation view. And I can just follow it down and double click and open it. And here's basically an attribute view which consists of sales organization, customers, and country. And this can be exposed in a front-end reporting tool such as Business Objects. Now let's get down to the demo itself. I'm sitting in this case and I'm going to add some new tables. So I click on my client here on the navigator. I go to the table section, right click and request a new table. So the first thing I do, I type in the same as you've seen before. I type in my column name, my data type, if it's key, and then define the dimensionality of it. So like you see, internal price is 17 characters, 17 numbers, and 2 decimal points. And I define my table itself. So this is going to be my products table. And I repeat the same process again, and here I'm going to create a sales table. So I have some customer numbers, some order numbers, and products, and so forth that are in there, a couple of keys, order number and order items. So I basically sit down and type my table in as I would like them to be. Now comes the point I want to start populating it with data. So first I need to go out and start up the data services. And again, I log on to the system. I put up the system, I put up my username and authenticates and get access to the system itself. Now I need to go and get the data store linked to the HANA system. So I'm going to right click on that, ask for a new, and log up to my HANA database. So I type in all the stuff, my username, passwords, and enable the automatic data transfer between the systems. And that connects me back to the HANA. So here's my HANA system showing up right now as part of the local object library. So we can go in and take a peek inside of HANA and find the tables right now in the HANA system. And this is where I would see the tables I just created. So let's start importing them. Let's start importing. First we'll try one way, which is basically importing them by name. So I go back to the table in my HANA system and I import my customer attribute table, which is the one I just created. I just repeat the process and then I bring over the sales table in this case. So now we're going to link the data files to load to the HANA. So I go down to the file formats. This is where the source file. So in my case, these files are going to be flat files to keep it simple. And then I'm going to link the data files that I'm going to load into HANA. I need to define things like it's delimited format on this one, it's comma limited, it's rows, it has a header line and so forth, the data type, the time formats. And it's going to basically, well, after I finish formulating how the file is located on my drives, it says, do you want to save the schema? And then, yes, I will. And here I get an idea what the flat file looks like. So now I have flat file, the customer numbers, customer name, and validity, city, and so forth. And I can actually see the data as well, a preview of the data that tells me how the structure works. So this is my customer file that I want to load into HANA. Then I'm going to go over and replicate it, grabbing the product files. Just go in and grab the product file from a flat file, define the product, and then take a look at that one. And then replicate the sales file. So now I have my sales, my product, and I have my customer data ready to load. And we are ready to link it. So the steps so far in data services was going to HANA, importing, getting those structures for the HANA tables, going to the flat files and defining the flat file formats, and getting them link. Now we need to start setting up jobs here. Okay, so we start off with creating a project. And I'm going to build my own project here, just call it whatever you want. And then create a first batch job. And in the batch job right now, I have the ability to go over to this tool menu on the right. And the first thing I'm going to create is a brand new data flow. So I just basically click on data flow and drop it onto the canvas. Then I take my tables from HANA. Remember the tables we just imported, the 3 tables, the customer, product, and sales? I'm just going to drop them in on the canvas in the data flow, and then I'm going to make it a target. Right click on this and say I'm going to make you a target. Then I go in and I get a hold of my other tables, which are my flat file tables, and I'm going to make those a source and then create a query transform. And then just link those two together. Drag one icon over to the other, and they're connected. So now I have basically my comma delimited file for customers on one side, a query transform, and the HANA table on the other side. Very, very straightforward. If I double click on the HANA transfer, then all of a sudden I can see the data mapping. Customer numbers and city names, and this is the flat file versus the HANA system. And I just drag them over one by one. And when I finish dragging them over, I will see the mapping. The blue lines with the blue diamonds will indicate the data mapping has been completed. Now we're ready to start executing our first data load. So we now click on the job itself, we execute it. It says what exactly job do you want to run and what sort of data flow you want to run. And then we basically can monitor our sample rates and set up some audit trailing in back here and just fired it off. Once we fire it off, we get all the data load logs, see if there's any issues. In this case, everything is running very smoothly. Then I can now go into HANA Studio and take a peek and see what I got. Open up HANA Studio again, open up the data preview on the 3 tables I created, and I will see that they're there. So here's the 3 tables I've loaded inside HANA. And here's the actual job ourselves. You can see I created 3 jobs. I just show you the first one. And I've created basically 3 tables and loaded the data in. So very simple to work with. HANA is not as difficult as some people have you believe. So creating tables, using data services, and getting the data in is very straightforward. And also data services comes with HANA, the platform edition, and not the platform edition, the enterprise edition. So most customers will actually have access to this sort of tool. That's all. Thank you.